Why is it that women won't go out with you when you tell them how much you like them? Hi there, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. In today's show, we're going to be answering a question from a guy that wants to know what it is that he's doing wrong when he's asking women out. Why is it that despite him telling these girls that he likes them, are they not agreeing to go on dates with him? And what can he do different? If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when I post up new daily videos. So I wanted to answer this question. There's actually a question that I found on Reddit, and I responded to the guy with a few questions of my own, and then he responded back to me so I could give him better help. And so I wanted to go over this in particular because on March 29th, I have my full coaching program called Introvert Dating Success that'll be dropping. And if you guys want more notices about that, sign up for the Girlfriend Roadmap cheat sheet that I have at the website, which will also sign you up to be notified for upcoming information about this program. But part of that program is going to include 12 weeks of one-on-one phone call coaching from me, whereby we'll get to sit down and kind of go over any kind of questions you have or things that you're going through to help you better become a better dater and know what's going on. And so as an example of that, I told this guy I would give him some advice that would hopefully be able to help him out, but I needed some info because some of the reasons that you might not be doing so well in the dating world is because there are a few key things here and there that if you were to just tweak them or have better knowledge of why they work or why they don't work, you'd be able to see what that is and be able to work on that and then be a better dater overall. So I thought this guy had a great question. So what I did was I'm going to read through what his question was, and then I'm going to tell you guys the questions that I asked him that he answered that allowed me to give him better answers about his situation, all right? And by the way, if you want one of your questions answered on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, or you can write down in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give this video a like. All right, so let's get into this guy's question. He says, I'm 15 and a sophomore in high school. I've asked around 13 different girls out with nothing to show for it. It's not that I have trouble with meeting or talking to girls, it's that I just can't get anyone to see me as anything more than just a friend. I asked a few people for advice and all of them gave the same answer. You're a smart guy. You need to figure it out by yourself. Which, by the way, is something I used to hear back in the day. And I think those people that are saying that are naturals to this game. And being a guy that just naturally is able to talk to women and know how to get them to relationships, that very much is a skill set. I think it's a skill set that people that are good at this take for granted. And it is a learnable skill. But to tell somebody just, oh, you just figure it out, that's not actually helpful. So for those of you that are good at dating, that are trying to help other people, please don't say that crap. Because you know if you're an introvert, that does not help. Anyway, continuing on. He says, I've heard things like, you just haven't found the right one, or it will get better, I promise, so many times that I've just stopped believing that they were true. Some of the girls that I know that have boyfriends have told me that I would be a good boyfriend and that I'm kind, sweet, loyal, etc. I couldn't get any of these girls that I asked out to just give me a chance. I don't know why I can't get anyone to see me that way. I guess that girls would rather do anything else than date me. At this point, I just want to give up on all this crap entirely. I don't think that I can even get girls to want to talk to me either because I have to approach them myself. Can someone please tell me what I'm doing wrong? So one of the things I will say is that if your mindset is not in the right place to really have a different perspective on how dating works, on how attraction works, on how the way women's minds work in the process of being attracted and dating, then it's going to be all for naught in terms of you wanting to go out there and even attempt to ask girls out, okay? So you got to get your mind in the right place. I have a freebie at the website called Modify Your Mindset. It's a 5-day email mini course that'll help you figure out once and for all where your brain needs to be and help you kind of rethink some things. You'll be in a better position to feel good about dating altogether. But yeah, you really have to have a better outlook on yourself and about who you are as a person, because that's going to project out to women. So if you feel bad about yourself, if you feel like you're less than of a dater, then when you go out into the world, unbeknownst to you, subconsciously, you're going to be projecting that out to women, and they're going to get the impression that they shouldn't date you either, because they're going to feel off your vibe. And if your vibe is saying, I'm not worthy to date, they're going to think this guy's probably not worth my time. So that's a major thing, okay? But that said, when I see questions like this and when guys are coming to me, what I like to do is I like to ask you guys questions to give me a better perspective of where you're coming from, because right now, when you ask questions, you're spitting out, oh, I feel bad, this girl did this and blah, 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 but you're not really giving the full scenario. I need to have like the full scenario and details of what you're going through in order to really give better answers. But that's how I coach, because the more I know from you, the better insights I can give and the better I can help you with your situation. So the first thing I said, I need more info. I said, how are you asking these women out? Can you give an example of what you say when trying to get a date? So what he answered with was, I try to get them alone so as not to embarrass them if things go sideways, which they always do. So it's good that this guy's getting them by themselves. Because, I mean, if you're in this longer, it won't be such a big deal to necessarily ask women out if they're with a group of people, but you really do want to kind of save that for when you guys are just solo by yourselves. That said, I have found that I don't typically ask women out in person anymore. Usually if I meet a girl for the first time, we have a good rapport going, I'll get the number from the girl, and then a couple of days later, I'll get a phone call. That way she's had time to, not have me be in her face. She has time to think about how much she wants to hear from me, thus building up a little bit more interest or intrigue about who I am. Like, this guy just asked me for my number, then he didn't call me. Like, what's going on? Why isn't he asking me out right away? So that way, when I do call and ask for the date, I'm able to get it. So, but that's still a one-on-one versus me asking in front of other people. So you might want to add that to your repertoire. If you meet a new girl out in public, or if you meet her on a dating app, whatever, get her information and then ask her out at a later time. So that's the first thing. The second question I asked him, I said, are you expressing any kind of nervousness? What is your body language and voice sounding like when you're asking women out? And so his answer was, I try my best not to seem nervous. I try to be polite and respectful so they don't hate me, but I could see how they could think that I'm nervous. I'm only 5'4", and I have somewhat good posture, and I've had a deep voice since I was 12. Okay, so even though he may not think that he's giving off the impression of being nervous, understand women are very much tapped into body cues that sometimes as men we're not, really paying attention to. So if you're, for example, asking her out, but you're kind of standing like this with your shoulders slunched over and you're kind of looking up at her and you're or looking away from her or kind of blinking a lot or any kind of those kind of positions, those give off the idea that you're, if not nervous, that you feel like you're less than and that you're humbly asking her out and hoping that she says yes, even though subconsciously you don't think you deserve it. And if you're giving off that body impression, then women are going to read that and think to themselves subconsciously, this guy doesn't even look like he thinks he deserves my attention. So why would I agree to a date with him? So these are things that you can work on in terms of your body posture, in terms of practicing like looking out at people and staring them in the eyes and talking to them without getting nervous, whether it's practicing in front of a mirror, with close friends, with family. When I was growing up, my mom and my dad always taught us, me and my brother, to look people in the eyes when we talk to them. So even though I wasn't the best at dating, I was very good at being able to keep eye contact at all times with people because it shows a position of strength and it shows that you are confident in whatever it is you're trying to do, okay? Now, in terms of the height thing, there's going to be guys that see this or hear this that say, okay, he's 5'4". Of course, he's going to have a hard time getting girls to date him because women want tall guys, yada, yada, yada. I have a friend that I went to college with who is like 5'6". And he currently has a girlfriend. He's been living with her for like 2 or 3 years now, and they've had a great relationship. And I say this because I need you guys to get out of the headspace that height is the only thing. All you guys that think that height matters, that money matters, I've been a guy that was broke before that got women. I've been a guy that didn't have a job that got women. And I've seen friends of mine that are short that get women. These are blockers that you're putting on yourself. So you need to get that out of your headspace. But you also need to do that because then you'll be more confident and not worried so much about, well, she won't date because of my height. Like, you need to have that get out of your head altogether, and you'll find that women are typically more in tune with the confidence of a guy than the height. Does that mean that some women won't view height as important? It does not mean that at all. But it does mean that you can cut through that crap, and even girls that'll say, oh, I want a guy that's like 6 feet. She'd rather date a guy that's 5'4" and confident than the guy that's 6 feet and nervous and is able to be walked over all the time. Okay, so get that out of your head. Continuing, he says, when you ask women out, are you telling them how much you like them? And what he responded with was, yes, I usually say something like, I like you a lot, or something similar to that. So when I heard that he said this, my first thought was, oh, this is why he's failing with women. Because he's going up to these women and saying, oh, I like you, followed by, we should go out. And I want you to understand how this works for women, okay? So let's say you meet a girl today, and over the next month, you're getting to know her, you're having conversation with her, you're texting her, you're occasionally hanging out with friends with her, and you're building up a good vibe, okay? So in that month's time, in that 2 months' time or whatever, you're building up this strong, intense like until you just can't hold it anymore. You're ready to burst at the seams and tell this girl how much you like her. So you go to her one day and build up all the confidence you can and say, hey, I want you to know that I really, really like you a lot. I think you're great, and I want to go out with you. And you're doing this after having been in your head for 2 months. Meanwhile, what about this woman? She has not been thinking about you on that level for 2 months because she had no idea that you even liked her or that she was a possibility for you. So maybe in that first meetup, when you first met, she thought, okay, maybe this could potentially be a date or something like that. But over a month or 2 months' time, she's grown to think, okay, this is just a friendship. So now you come to her with all these feelings, and she has built up none for you. So you're expecting her to go from no feelings to, oh, wait, this guy said he liked me, now I got to like him back, and have feelings instantly. And that's not typically what's going to happen. What's going to usually happen is the girl's going to go from, I thought he was a friend, to I'm freaked out now because he has all these feelings. And because he's telling me he has these feelings, he's expecting me now to have these abundance of feelings also. And I just found out this guy even had some kind of interest in me that was in a relationship level. And that's going to result in women saying things like, oh, that's so sweet, but I just not really feeling it. Yeah, because she doesn't have the capacity to rush up these feelings for you in a span of 5 minutes when you've been building them up for 2 months. So this is why you have a better shot at being able to get women on dates when you first meet them. Because in the beginning, you're a clean slate. And so if you say something like, hey, I'd love to take you out sometime, or hey, let me get your number, then ask her out, she hasn't put you in the realm of just friends or boyfriend material. All she knows is there's an open plane here, and it's more like an exploratory plane. Like when you first meet her, she's down to explore whatever, but you got to be the one to decide what direction it's going to possibly go in. So if you treat her like a friend for 2 months, yeah, she's going to be freaked out when you ask her out and when you say you like her a lot, okay? But if in that first meetup you say, hey, we should go out, she knows that on some level you're thinking that it could be a possibility, but she's not being scared by the level of like you have for her, because ideally in that moment, you haven't really built up a strong like. You just met a girl, had a good convo, and said, hey, this seems like we have a good connection going on. We should explore this further. And that's the feeling you want to bring to when you're asking a woman out, is the feeling of, hey, something could possibly be here, so maybe we should see what's what by having some solo time together, versus 2 months in where it's like, I have all these feelings for you. You should like me right now. We should go out. And that's going to be a lot of pressure, okay? So learn to not be so afraid on. And I know why guys do this, because they think that it's better to build up time spent with her, especially introverted guys. You think that, okay, I got to spend 2 months with her so I can really see once for all if this could be a thing. You don't need to know all the information when you first meet a girl, because you wouldn't have it in the first place. But you could say there's an inkling of something here, and you can explore that by asking her on dates and then deciding as you date her if this is going to be more of a friendship vibe, a relationship vibe, or we just don't hang out anymore altogether, okay? So you can't be afraid and think that you got to have all these feelings figured out when you first meet a girl. You really don't. It's actually better if you don't have it all figured out, because while you're thinking you got to have all these feelings before you ask her out, she's going to be the one that's like, I want to build this thing. I want to have time to develop feelings. I want to have my feelings go through the course of emotions that it needs to go through to really see if you could be relationship material. You trying to do that without her knowledge of you having those feelings is not going to work out for you. So then I asked him, I said, when you say these women, quote, wouldn't give you a chance, how soon are you asking them to be in a relationship after a date? So, and he said, I've never been on a date. It's sad, I know, which is fine. When I was 15, I didn't think I had my first date till I was like 15 or 16. So you're still on the right track. But he says, I try my best to take things as slow as possible. What I meant by that was that none of them said yes when I asked them out. I usually wait a few weeks before I even try to get their number, and I wait at least a month before asking them out. So this is a big mistake that I made in my teenage years, and admittedly also my 20s. And it's this thing of thinking you have to pace the thing out and build up time spent with a woman, as if time spent equates to woman's feelings building for you, okay? But again, if she doesn't have the lens of thinking we're building this towards possible relationship, she's not going to have that lens on. But more to the point, so this guy said he waits a few weeks before he even gets the number. First mistake, okay? Because again, the best chance you have at being able to get a woman on a date is when you first meet her. So that first meetup, you want to ask for her number. And again, I know why you're probably hesitant on this, because you're thinking, if I ask for the number, she's going to know I like her. It does not mean that. It means that she's going to read that, hey, this guy possibly wants to inquire more about what we could possibly be or what direction we could possibly go in. But asking for a number is not a big deal. In the grand scheme of things that you got to do with a woman to get with her for a lifetime, arrangement or whatever, a marriage proposal is the highest one, okay? Beyond that, asking for a number, asking for a date, these are baby steps. None of these things signify that you have a high interest in her. It just signifies that there's an inquiry there that you'd like to pursue to see if there are things that could be there deeper. And women understand this better than men do. So while you're thinking, I don't want to ask for a number because she's going to know that I like her. All she's thinking is, hey, this guy asked my number. We could talk sometime. And maybe that'll lead to more good talks, and that'll lead to like maybe some good hangouts, and that'll maybe lead to some physicality. Maybe that'll lead to us possibly going out. But it could possibly lead to things. It's not him asking me for the number means he automatically likes me right now. Okay, so you need to get that part out of your head. You got to be asking for these women's numbers early on. And I made the mistake in college of doing the same thing this guy's doing, where it's like I meet a girl in her dorm, I'd wait weeks to ask for the number, and then looking back, I was like, man, she was kind of showing flirty signs on that first meetup. I could have probably just got the number then. So don't let that be a holdup. And then when you get the number, the other mistake guys are making is thinking, I got to talk to her for weeks on end before I ask for a date. No, you want to be getting to know this woman on dates, so that way you can see if the conversation is there on these dates, and as you're learning about her, she's still going to recognize this is part of possibly leading towards being in a relationship, which is going to give her the lens of looking at you in the potential relationship light versus the potential friendship light, okay? So everything needs to be done early. You meet her that first time, you get the number early, the next conversation you have with her when you call her up is to ask for the date. All this stuff should happen within the span of like the first week of you meeting her, for the best shot of possibly getting a date. And again, it's getting a date. It's not getting in a relationship. And at 15, the mistake I also thought was that if I ask a girl out, we're automatically dating. Like saying, oh, we're dating means we're automatically in a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. That is not it at all. All you're doing is asking women if you can inquire further about where you guys could possibly be by getting these so-called outings that we call dates, okay? So don't think that asking for the number or asking for the date means you're asking for a full-on relationship. It means what it means. You asking for a date means you're asking for a date, and women will take it as such. But if you add the whole thing of, oh, I like you a lot, and we should go out on a date, now she's thinking, if I say yes to this date, I'm saying yes to a relationship. Don't add that kind of pressure to women. Continuing on, I asked him about the female population at his school, just to get an idea of the kinds of girls that are there, how much of a dating pool he has to choose from. So what he said it's pretty big. However, all the classes I take only have bimbos or girls that aren't into guys. Okay, so I want to talk about this too, okay? You guys that have limiting beliefs about what kind of women are out there, that's actually to your detriment as well. Saying that, oh, the women are around me are only bimbos or only lesbians or whatever, well, now you're going to put your mindset in the scarcity mindset, which means that when you do meet a girl, you're going to be so freaked out about having to make this work because the only other girls available are bimbos or lesbians that you're going to mess up this chance, okay? So understand, get the thought out of your head that women are bimbos, because realistically, guy, thinking that kind of negative way about women, it's not going to be beneficial to you or any potential relationship that you have, okay? But more to the point, think about the fact that there's an abundance of women out there, just because they're not currently dating you or going after guys that are so-called jerks but have more confidence, that does not make them bimbos or less than, okay? Really look at what are the things that you're doing that could result in you not getting the results that you want. Fix those things, and you'll find that there are a lot of women out there that are smart and intelligent and kind that actually would date you if you had a better mindset. Then the last thing I asked him, I said, what kind of combos are you having with these women to convince them to see you as more than a friend? And his response was, I don't know what makes them see me as more of a friend, but I just asked them about things that they're interested in or how their day was, or just talk to them about things that happened. For example, that test was really hard. Or I just joke around with them. I always listen intently to what they say and remember small things that they say, like what their favorite color is or what kind of music they like to listen to. I don't have the confidence to flirt. Heck, I don't even know how. I really hope that you can help me. To be honest, I'm on the verge of just giving up, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so nothing he's doing in terms of conversation is necessarily a bad thing. Like ask women what their likes are and their interests are and hearing them talk about their day and stuff like that. Like all that stuff's positive stuff that helps in the confines of a relationship. But that said, one of the things you can do is you can start adding a little bit more about yourself, because I think, we understand as guys that women like to talk about themselves, and that the best way for them to feel stuff about us is to be able to ask them questions that allow them to talk about them. But that does not mean that you cannot bring up your own interests that you have, because women, as much as they like their own interests, they want to meet and date a guy that's going to pull them out of those interests and introduce them to new things that they may not have considered before, And I know a lot of guys think, for example, like, oh, I'm into video games, and so they're not going to be into that. But I've dated girls that are into video games. I've dated girls that like talking about tech things and geeky type things. Like, that's not the only thing you need to be talking about all the time, but you can bring your interest into the fold. So she says, oh, this guy has like layers to him and he has things that he's interested in that I might want to consider taking up. Okay. Also to the point, you don't have to be the world's best flirting person in order to get women. Is it a skill set that's going to help you? Yes, it is. But if you're talking to a woman and making her laugh and being jokey or whatever, making her feel good, and she's getting vibes off of you, you don't have to say the most flirty stuff in the world. Like, you can say things about, oh, you look kind of nice in this thing, or you smell this great way, or whatever. And you can just kind of, if you're a jokey person already, you can add a bit of sarcasm to your jokiness. Nothing that's going to be like overly insulting to her, but just things that are just playful and let you know that you're not taking this interaction seriously. And that's the big thing, is that a lot of guys that get nervous about being around women, they're so nervous that they're trying to do everything right. And in the process of that, they take themselves too seriously. The conversations they have are always too serious. And really, women are just looking for you to give that fun vibe that shows that they can have a fun time around you, that they can have interesting conversations. They don't have to be the most flirty, but they do want to feel that you desire them in some way, that you find them attractive on some level, that you do have an interest that's there to where you want to treat them slightly different from other girls that you may be possibly interested in. Like, those things are important overall, okay? In the grand scheme of things, how you present yourself, how you think about yourself, and how you're going to be interacting with women are all very important. You do not need to express a high like for a woman to be able to get a date or a phone number. And it really is important, again, to really do these things early on. The biggest mistake I made when I was young was I would have a crush on a girl. I'd crush on her in school for like 3 or 4 months before I got the guts to even at that time we had AOL chat. So that's let you know how old I am. But you get the AOL chat from the woman, to be able to type her and chat her, and then to be able to actually ask her on a date. And I do the same thing this guy was doing. I'd be like, hey, so I've liked you for a few months now, and I really like you, and I think you're so intelligent and smart and funny, and I would just love to go out with you. And for women, when they hear go out with, they think you're trying to get them into a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. So I'd also take that out of your vocabulary and stop saying, I want to go out with you, and say instead, I want to take you on a date, or I'd like to take you to the movie sometime, or to a dinner, or whatever. But you don't have to express this strong like to get those results. And if anything, you actually don't want to show a woman that your like is so strong in the beginning, because you want them to have to do some of the work of thinking that they have to attract you in order to get into a relationship, and that's going to be something that they have to earn. Again, women are all about earning your affection. And if you've ever had a woman say, I don't know what I deserve to have you like me so much, what that means is you did not do your due diligence in building up attraction. That's why it's perfectly fine to not throw it all at once. But yeah, if you're going on dates with a woman, even if you're on a date and you end up kissing her or you end up hooking up with her, none of these things have to mean that you're at the level with her where you want to have a relationship. And that's going to be better, because women are ultimately going to want to have to do things to be able to get you. And as I always say, if they're chasing you, they can't be replacing you. If you're letting them do some of the work, then you're not going to be applying pressure to them to have to make a decision, and thereby they're going to think it's their choice, and they're going to want to reach out to you. They're going to want to phone call you up. They're going to want to be the ones to suggest date ideas, okay? So all this comes from being a little bit patient, while at the same time knowing when to strike when the iron's hot, which typically is earlier than not, okay? Now, if you need more help with these kind of things, this is why I have a whole program coming out on March 29th called Introvert Dating Success. It is a 12-week coaching program, and it's also going to be have video modules and other things that are designed to really give you the full scope of what you need to do. Because I spent years figuring all this stuff out. And admittedly, as you're learning the dating process and becoming comfortable with things, it's going to take time to really feel comfortable with some of these things. This guy at 15, the fact that he's getting this advice from me now, this is advice that I did not have at 15. And I had to learn through the years. So my program is going to be designed to help save you time, energy, effort, money, and really give you the key things you need to be doing right now, so you'll have the skill set, so you don't have to spend years trying to figure it out. And again, that's on March 29th. In the meantime, if you want notices about that, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, sign up for my PDF, the Girlfriend Roadmap checklist, which will give you the 10-step process that I use time and time again to actually get into relationships. But then that'll keep you on my email list, and I'll be able to email you about any updates about this upcoming program. But yeah, March 29th, be on the lookout for that. It's a really, really great coaching program, and I'm so happy that I'm going to be bringing it to you guys. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, like I said, that you want answered on this show, write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, or if you're at youtube.com/HarryWilmington, you can leave a comment down below, and I will answer your question on one of these shows. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode, and catch new episodes right here on my YouTube channel or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.